welcome once again to the Festivus episode of Crazy Comics and Stories. It's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. But before we begin, we must hear the story of Festivus. So we go to Seinfeld.
Many Christmases ago, I went to buy a doll for my son. I reached for the last one they had, but so did another man. As I rained blows upon him, I realized there had to be another way.
What happened to the doll?
It was destroyed. But out of that, a new holiday was born. A Festivus for the rest of us.
That must have been some kind of doll.
She was. And at the Festivus dinner, you gather your family around and tell them all the ways they have disappointed you over the past year.
And is there a tree?
No, instead there's a pole. Requires no decoration. I find tinsel distracting.
Frank, this new holiday of yours is scratching me right where I itch.
Let's do it then.
All right.
Festivus is back! I'll get the pole out of the crawl's face.
Well, happy Festivus.
What is that? Is that the pole?
George, Festivus is your heritage. It's part of who you are.
That's why I hate it.
Look, it's a big dinner Tuesday night at Frank's house. Everyone's invited.
George, you're forgetting how much Festivus has meant to us all. I brought one of the cassette tapes. Read that poem.
I can't read it. I need my glasses.
You don't need glasses. You're just weak. You're weak.
Leave him alone!
All right, George. It's time for the Festivus Feats of Strength.
No, turn it off! No feats of strength! I'm Festivus!
We had some good times.
Well, sir, I gave out the fake card because I don't really celebrate Christmas. I celebrate Festivus. Festivus, sir. And I was afraid that I would be persecuted for my beliefs. They drove my family out of Bayside, sir.
Are you making all this up, too?
Oh, no, sir. Festivus is all too real, and I can prove it if I have to.
Yeah, you probably should.
The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it. You, Kroger, my son tells me your company stinks.
Oh, God.
Quiet, you'll get yours in a minute. Kroger, you couldn't smooth a silk sheet if you had a hot date with a babe. I lost my train of thought. And now, as Festivus rolls on, we come to the feats of strength.
Not the feats of strength.
Until you pin me, George, Festivus is not over.
Oh, please, somebody stop this.
Let's rumble!
I think you can take him, Georgie.
Hey, come on, be sensible.
Stop crying and fight your father.
Ow! Oh, I got it!
This is the best Festivus ever!
And
No,
that
doesn't get a suit for copyright infringement.
is the story of Festivus.
Great.
On the other end of the series of tubes and wires that we call the internets is Joe, Crazy Writer. How you doing today, Joe?
Why do cows wear bells?
Because their horns don't work?
And then, wait, what?
Ryder, I'm telling you, if I get one more ring at the doorbell for a package from the Postal Service delivered on a Sunday, I am done. You have packages delivered every day of the week. What the heck is this discount comic book that's coming to our house every month? This stuff's piling up. I don't know what the heck you got going on, but you got to figure it out.
Is that your Festivus grievance?
What the hell's Festivus?
And we do have special guests. Special guest number one.
Now I know how that feels.
Maybe you'll stop. Special guest number one. Please sign in and tell the people your name.
Is that me?
No, you're not special.
Oh.
Are we giving numbers?
Wolfie! Oh, God, give me some felt.
Oh,
Oh, God, I miss that. COVID or not, you still got the best felt in town.
oh, thank you. Don't worry, I sprayed myself with lysine beforehand.
Lysine.
What?
Special guest number 2. Sign in.
I guess that would be me.
I would have put you number
Stephanie
1. But, Wolfie just jumped
Cofell here.
Cofell in the
How I am is
house.
I haven't slept in 3 months, so this should be really funny.
Ooh. So you're suffering from sleep deprivation psychosis.
Not sure about the psychosis part, but I did break down and get a prescription for a sleep aid, and I took my first one the night before last, and we'll talk about how that went a little later, maybe.
You should have taken it on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing better on a podcast than someone snoring. Well, Stephanie, just remember, no matter how deep in the psychosis you are, you're not the craziest person who's been on the show. And finally, special guest number 3.
I'm trying to figure out if that segue was to... Wait, what? Huh? Hey, what are you saying? I'm not... Maybe. I don't know. Where were we? What? Who?
Ladies and gentlemen, dangerous Grandpa Mohr.
Oh, God.
You have no idea. I've been waiting all of 2020 to say that.
I am known as Grand Stitch. Thank you very much.
You may be known as Grand Stitch by other people, but here you'll always be dangerous Grandpa Mohr.
That's great.
I love you kids. Leave me alone. Where's my pills?
I remember back when the Transformers were a shitty animated cartoon instead of shitty movies.
Yeah, that's right. I'll tell you another thing too, Sonny.
GoBots. Don't get me going on GoBots.
Oh, yeah. That's what we had at first, and we liked them. They didn't have any fancy
I had a
names.
ROM as a kid. It just moved its arm and beeped. That was high technology. You need this fancy transformer. I gotta take a nap.
You don't understand. With the Transformers, we had to figure out who the leader was. Oh, it was this guy named Prime. GoBots, no, they told us leader 1. He wasn't only the leader, he was number 1. So he
You
was
have to
double.
think about it.
Yeah.
I don't even know if the Micronauts had a leader. We are here as part of the Festivus tradition. We have had the feast. Later on will be the feats of strength. But for now, it's the airing of the grievances.
I want to be on record, of course. I am utterly opposed to this made-up festival. I mean, I know they all are, but considering 2020 was such a suck-ass year, I don't think we need an entire hour more of grievances, because the whole year's been a grievance.
Cory, sorry. Joe. With everything that's been happening over the last couple years, the amount of hate towards other people and stuff like that, we should be open to other people's religions no matter what it is. No matter how stupid the idea is, we should still be open to it.
I'm just going to sit here and play with my slinky.
Okay.
And for the listener, just remember, Joe's been complaining about Festivus since we started this tradition. He even complained the 2 years he was a part of it. He always has some reason that he doesn't like it, and the reasons are usually bullshit.
Yeah, I gotta get a new hip, and get another new hip. Out with pneumonia. I said I timed my pneumonia wrong. I should have timed it a week later, and then I could just not only miss this episode, but I could be off for Christmas. So I'm on record as being against it. The whole Festivus season. I don't even need a reason.
Wait a minute. How did the hip work? Wouldn't that actually be better for you? Because that way you couldn't move and all you could do was record?
No, let's get this abortion of a show going. Let's go.
No, he was too medicated to talk.
Oh, it was great. Like I said, Steph, you got to have some drugs. I mean, I had Oxycontin. I had a shot-off shotgun. It was awesome.
Oh.
Are we sure that he would stop him from talking, or would we hear even more than we shouldn't know?
I still have one Oxycontin left. I got some muscle relaxant. I got a full thing of Fireball. So, I could go get that now, and we could just see how long I last.
Lord.
Oh, can we do that next week?
Yeah, why not?
I mean,
All
how
right.
of the Fireball Fleet? Fireball Fleet? Fireball Fleet. God damn it, never mind. My English screwed up the entire joke. Go away.
I'm going to begin.
I don't care.
Me neither.
And the first grievance I have to level is against Archie Comics.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Archie.
Don't listen,
you.
Stephanie. Don't listen.
Let's see. The regular Archie series hasn't been out in like 8 months and was in the middle of a story where Archie was dating Katie Keene. Afterlife with Archie hasn't come out in like, I don't know, enough years that it's a toddler now. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, 8 issues and then nothing.
She's not even a teenager anymore.
No, she's not a teenage witch. She's a middle-aged witch.
Aren't we all?
I'm a warlock, thank you very much.
Sorry, okay.
I'd like to let people know that
I'm a druid, reformed. I worship Bush.
I'd like to let people know when they say, "Oh, Cory, you're middle-aged." No, I'm not middle-aged unless I'm going to live to be 117.
Yeah.
So, Archie.
At that point, we're all going to go, Cory, it's time to die.
Oh, no.
Sorry, Cory. I hate to be the one to
outliving
pull the
all
plug.
of you.
Oh,
I
quite
am
happy.
outliving all of you because I don't want any of you pissing on my grave.
I just want to get at your
Rutger
comments.
Hauer, time to die.
Don't worry, Cory. I won't be pissing on your grave.
You'll be humping it.
Yeah. That's really why I'm hoping you get cremated, because the vase will be, tighter.
You just want to yell, Cory, get your ass off the table.
No, that too.
So, Archie Comics, get your shit together and finish your damn series before starting new ones.
Wait, they're starting plenty of series on the CW.
Joe!
I got to tell you, I went in and, last couple of years was Hip Watch and all that. The final finale of Hip Watch was last week, because what I did is I had to go in, see the doctor that, did both my hips. And I had like 5 x-rays in the last 2 weeks, 2 for my chest for pneumonia, 2 for my hip. And then I had for the crown, I had another one. So I think I'm glowing in the dark. Let me just check here. Yep, I'm glowing. Anyways, so I went in.
Just like a prize in a cereal box.
I know, just dig for me. Of course, now they don't put it in the cereal. You kids just don't know what you're missing. Anyways, yeah, it's lazy. You just lift the whole box out. My prize. None of that digging in your parents. Wait till you eat some of that cereal. Now forget it. I'm going to the bottom. But anyways, I went in and, he saw the x-ray looked good. I actually got a picture of it. Maybe I'll post it on the Facebook later. It's kind of funny. Because, it's huge. It's like it goes halfway down my leg. And I didn't get the one with the cool bionic noise, unfortunately. I asked for that. And the guy was so young that he didn't get the reference. It's kind of like all this year, whenever I've had a medical thing, whether it's, the doc that helped me with my pneumonia, or when I went into the hospital for what probably was a pneumonia then, but when I thought it was a heart attack. All these doctors are so young, or am I just freaking old? One of the two. Anyways, so the doc that helped me with my hip, he watched, and I didn't have a limp. I told him the only real problem I have is when I walk an incline. Now, seriously, how often in real life do you end up walking an incline? I can do steps, I can walk, no problem. Just when we were up north for a while, I had a little trouble incline. But I just told him, I said, I'm kind of grateful that I got the hip done and all my therapy done before the pandemic hit. And I asked him, he said, no, we're still doing the hip things. We can't do it in the hospital. And if you remember my last hip, I did it as an outpatient. I did it and I was home like within 6 hours. So I'm kind of grateful that I got the hip done before the pandemic. And for the most part, I'm 100%. Couldn't figure out what to get operated on this year. Knees are tricky. I don't want to mess with them. Shoulders a little stiff, but so I'm pretty happy about that. Next.
So when is Joe going to be bionic then?
I'm thinking more Borg. Resistance is futile. Shut up, hand. Told you. After the podcast.
Wouldn't that be your hip talking to your hand?
Hips don't really talk to anybody. They just kind of Although I still can't
No,
twerk.
hips don't lie. Shakira said so.
Well, with that, I think I'll throw it over to Steph. Steph, what's your first grievance?
I have so many. In no particular order, and all of these are third world problems. How long has Facebook been a thing now? I'm going to say, 15 years or so, maybe?
I know my
more or less.
earliest, I think my earliest, like when my memories come up, are like from 11 years ago. Because I signed on like a year after, but back then it was for all the kids, the hip kids, and I promptly forgot about it. And then my kids like, oh, you should do Facebook. And then, are you sure? Because every time us kids did everything, you guys leave. Which is true. My kids don't do Facebook anymore, but I digress.
Right, but it's been around long enough that we know not to forget the idea of, research before you post, or the whole share this and Zuckerberg or whoever, fill in the blank, will give you money. Like, Jesus is a social media slot machine, anytime I see this, share this and you'll get $1,000, and Aldi is giving this money away. And, it's like, do people really believe these things, or are they just sharing it in hopes that someone's going to send them $1,000 easy dollars? And especially, I think what bothers me about it, and one of you was talking about this earlier, the religion thing. I don't care if you're doing it because, you think Jesus is a slot machine, but, the people who are, I don't know, it's like if you believe in talking snakes and virgin births and stuff, don't be like giving life advice to the rest of us or telling us that this will work or happen, because I just don't believe it. It's just the sharing of those things. It's almost like the old, those letters. What would they call those? Those letters we used to send each other. Chain mail, that's it. That's what it is. That's like my first grievance is Facebook chain mail. The fact that people are still posting these things. And it clogs up my feed. It's ridiculous. It doesn't work. It's like trickle-down economics. And I don't understand why people share those things. That's my grievance. My first one anyway.
Well,
it's silly, but there it is.
Going with that, actually, the Jesus slot machine. Who the hell thinks Jesus has money? Have they not read the Bible?
That too. It's like everyone's tithing 10% of their income because Jesus has no money. Because he's a hippie socialist.
So how the hell is he going to give you any money?
Yeah, but Jesus did walk into the bar and tell his disciples, "We're just going to order 12 waters." Wink, wink.
It's just ridiculous is what it is. Like, God is on Facebook. Like, he's got nothing better to do. There's no pandemic going on. There's no starving children on the other side of the world. There's no, he just wants to give people money through Facebook. It's just, God, I just wish people would stop doing that.
I was being screwed by the Nigerian prince well before it was cool.
Poor guy. Ended up dying. He spent his last 10 years of his life trying to give away all this money.
Like there's a real Nigerian prince out there, and he's like, "Damn it, I'm so tired of this."
So nobody calls me back.
I would like to apologize. I did get one of those chain letters back in the 90s, and I didn't send it on.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have 2020, I believe.
I regret the error.
Also, if God is a slot machine, I keep getting 3 lemons. Dan?
Yes?
You're up.
Well, okay, I've got a couple throughout. I'm going to have some that should be funny and some that are just going to be cathartic to me. But the thing is, don't worry, if I start to babble, Cory will always just cut off my mic and say that I'm just having
microphone diarrhea.
And that's my recipe for lasagna.
Lasagna.
So is it my turn now?
What? Yeah, I mean we've
You're
done
gonna
like
skip.
four,
You're
haven't
gonna
we?
skip Wolfie.
I know what Wolfie's grievance is.
Oh yeah? What's my grievance?
That I haven't been anywhere near you since the pandemic hit.
That is one of them, yes.
See,
I just missed the Gray on Gray action.
Just live in memory.
Live in memory?
Yes.
But I like making new memories. That's what memories are for, is to make new ones and enjoy and rub. And sit on my face and tell me that you love me. And sit on your face
I
and
need to
tell
talk
me
to you, Jar, again.
Can't breathe, Wolfie. Ooh, that was fun.
Sorry, tail went up your nose.
That's okay.
So I know none of you watched this show, but there was a show called Stumptown on ABC.
Oh, I don't watch that.
It was adapted from a comic by Greg Rucka. I really enjoyed it. And at the end of the season, it ended on a cliffhanger, and they said that it had been renewed for a second season. So you may be asking, Cory, why is this a grievance? I said, you may be asking, Cory, why is this a grievance?
Wait. Don't worry. I've got this. Wait. This is
What's a show?
It's my moment.
Spider! Got it.
Cory, why?
Shit, I didn't get it.
They decided to cancel it because COVID had delayed the start of filming.
Was Tom Cruise there?
No. Although, I'm going to be blunt here. Tom Cruise was right. I don't like him very much, but he was right, and he should have been angrier.
Oh, you have made me very angry.
He's the producer
I
of that
agree with
movie.
all of the above. Yep.
He's the producer of that movie. That means his money's on the line. For those of you who don't know, Tom Cruise was recorded blowing up at people who weren't observing social distancing and wearing masks on the set of Mission Impossible 7, which means that the first 6 Mission Impossible movies were lies.
Lies.
There's 7 of them?
Wait.
There's 7 of them.
True lies?
But Stumptown was renewed and then canceled because they couldn't, it's like, oh, well, we're going to have to delay for 6 months, so fuck this show. And same for Glow on Netflix, one of my favorite Netflix shows, got renewed for a 4th season that would wrap everything up, and they went, no, fuck it. So, yes, I know that there are horrible things happening with COVID, but these are what is important to me, Joe.
Oh, next you're going to tell me Rob Liefeld's got a new book he's doing.
2020. Yeah, Rob Liefeld's going to be doing a book for Archie, but I'm not worried because it's never going to come out, and even if one issue comes out, the rest will come out, because go back to my first grievance.
Archie has had success with television programs such as Riverdale and The Chilling Adventures of Sabina.
Hold on, he told us to go back to his first grievance. You know what I really hate? Archie comics. And the reason I hate Archie comics...
Wait a minute. I'm getting to the first Festivus show.
Oh.
I got a lot of grief with you people.
The first one.
It's all free. We don't put nothing behind a paywall. Okay, well, 2020 has been just... we got an explicit rating, right?
Yes.
All right, it's been a...
I won't even go into why, but yes, we were given an explicit rating.
It's been a shit, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits year. Thank you, George Carlin. For retailers. And I got to admit, I feel good because I've done my best. I mean, I don't want to... how do you say it? I'm not saying this is bragging or whatever, but I mean, I've been fortunate because both Chris, my wife, and I, we've had jobs, so we really haven't had any problems financial wise, and we've done our best to support as many places as we can. We've eaten. We haven't. There was a brief moment where you could go to restaurants. We haven't, because, as you remember, my wife did catch COVID, so she wants nothing to do with flying, theaters, restaurant eating. But we've done takeout to places, and believe me, these guys are so grateful when we show up and pick up a pizza order, an order of wings or whatever. And we're still trying to do that. One of the businesses we love in St. Paul, Mama's Pizza. I've been going there since high school, and he's actually thriving because he had a small restaurant, so small that a lot of times you'd show up and he would be just so apologetic because there'd be no room. He'd be packed. But because of COVID, he the restaurant now is kind of a waiting area. He's just doing takeout, and he's doing a booming business. He says he's never going to open his restaurant again because he's doing triple the business at takeout. It's like you call him at 5 o'clock for a pizza. He said it'll be ready at 6:30. And we're like, that's fine. I mean, it's great pizza. So it's good to hear that. And again, I'm call it blowing my own horn, but damn it, I'm proud of what I've done. All the money I pretty much made shucking eBay, I've spent at local comic stores. Even discount our go-to discount comic book service. They had a thing where when nobody was shipping comics in that weird moment, and I don't know how Cory, as far as you know, we haven't lost a retailer in town, have we?
No.
I mean, there are a lot that are.
None of the comic shops have closed yet.
No, and we've even discovered a few that have popped up, which is kind of cool. But even with discount comic book service, they had a thing. We're relisting all these things, and I bought like $400. With Greg Ketter, I went and I bought a tribute to Harlan Ellison book that was limited for like $80. When I could, I went up to like Remix. I went down to Mind's Eye. I dropped like $200, $400. We did the brief run, the Nerding Out, when they opened, and I dropped money there. And I've talked about it before. A lot of this stuff I'm just buying because it's cool stuff and it's cheap and it's money to them. I've spent a lot of money at the source. I mean, really, I don't have any eBay monies left because I've just spent them all trying to help the retailers. And I feel good. I've done my part. Plus, and as my lovely wife complained about earlier, now I've got all these boxes all over the place full of comic books, and I'll read them and then I'll eBay them or whatever. I'll do whatever about it. So I feel good. I'm still doing my part to help the business I can, but you can only do so much. And I pray for the restaurant bar industry, and because they're still shut down, and gyms too, because that's where the COVID's coming from in Minnesota. It's not necessarily in the cities, but out in the rural area, because everybody gets together at the bars and then they all go home and get sick. So it's sick. Yeah, it's going to be rough, but I'd like to. I'll do what I can to help the local retailers. We even did our Black Friday run, and we had a lot of fun. And knock on wood, we didn't catch COVID. I decided catching pneumonia instead, but that's a different subject. So I'm pretty proud about that. And again, for Christmas season or Festivus or whatever you're celebrating, buy local, shop local. Just try to keep your guys in business. So that's it for number 2. I toss it over to Steph. What's your next grievance?
That there's 7 Mission Impossibles now.
I thought the Police Academy movie collection I got was crazy, but oh well.
I'll make you feel worse, Stephanie. They're actually doing the 7 and 8 and taping them together.
Oh, okay.
But you're gonna tell me Deathmate's coming back.
My second grievance, and it's not so. For the first time in a long time, I'm single again, and I've been single before, and before I wasn't single, I was alone for 2 years, and I kind of forgot about this until recently, that things aren't made, and I'm talking about food specifically, when you go grocery shopping, things aren't made for single people. Everything is family size. The packages of chicken, family size. Like, everything is huge, and you end up with a lot of leftovers, which isn't a big deal, but, like, I can't just buy a box of something that says, like, 1 serving or 2 servings or whatever it is. Everything's, like, 4 to 6, and I'm like, okay, we're all stuck indoors, we're all eating, and some of us are more depressed than others, and some of us are just eating out of boredom or whatever. It's just frustrating. Like, I'm looking at my Honey Nut Cheerios, it says family size. I mean, the box will last me forever. That's cool. It's Cheerios. They'll be here till the end of the world with the roaches and stuff, but it won't go anywhere. But just other stuff, like stuff that's in my fridge, or it's just weird. Like, nobody makes single-size packs of food or anything. When you look at recipes, it says serves 4 to 6. I'm like, why is that? It's very strange. So it's a grievance for me now.
I'd like to point
same
out
thing
that
like with
family sized is a single serving for me.
Wait, what?
Family sized is a single serving for me.
Yeah, I even
It's like,
got that
I'm
with,
tiny.
like,
I'm under
produce.
5 feet tall. I'm like 100 pounds. I don't need 4 to 6 servings. And if I make if I make a recipe, I have leftovers for 3 days. That's great. I got one dinner out of, I got 3 dinners out of one package of chicken or whatever. But man, is it frustrating. I'm like, you can go to if I could go grocery shopping, I'd walk up to the meat counter and be like, I just want this many. But I get everything through Instacart
Sorry,
now.
we only
so.
serve it in this portion.
I understand what you're talking about, but the thing is, it's your own fault that you're only 100 pounds, okay? I'm 5'9", and I'm 250 pounds, and that took a lot of work, damn it.
I stopped growing when I was 11, so.
I'm like 5'11" and 170, and it took a lot of sickness to get there, so.
Oh.
All I can say is I know what you're saying, Steph, because it's the same thing like with produce. It's like, I don't need like 5 tons of strawberries because they're going to rot before 2 days. But,
right.
And I'm sure I like the berries because they're supposed to be good for me, but, they just sit in the back of the fridge and, okay, I'll go for it. Oh, boy, I don't have blueberries. I have fuzzberries.
Right. It's weird.
Oh, and the colors afterwards. The colors.
Why you don't buy blueberries, you buy blueberry. You don't buy strawberries, you buy Frankenberry. They last for weeks.
God damn it, Strode, you're a genius.
Fruit Loops. Come on, man. Fruit Loops last for months. Daily requirement of fruit. F-R-O-O-T. Fruit.
And now in laters and fruit flavors, I mean, that's fruit, isn't it? Says it's got fruit juice in it.
Oh, I got a bone in my fruit.
Monodextroid flutamine.
Boneless bananas.
Here's a tip from my wife. If you unfortunately do get the COVID and you lose your sense of taste smell, do not eat a banana. Worst texture ever.
That's why I don't like them.
You don't like any fruit or vegetable, Dan.
That's not true.
Okay, you like broccoli when covered in caramel.
Yes.
Well, that sounds good.
It is, surprisingly. Somebody said I wouldn't do it, and I did it with one of the vegetable platters, and somebody had brought in the caramel for the apples, and I tried it. And it's like, wow, I have never I put it in my mouth, and I tasted caramel, and I tasted broccoli, but I didn't taste the combination. I don't know how my brain did it, but I had both sensations of the taste at the same time, but they didn't mix. Weirdest effect ever. It's like they're like, nope, we're not mixing these.
Dan?
Yeah.
It's your turn.
All right. Well, actually, the thing that Stephanie made me think about this one, and this is a grievance that actually has been happening for years, but I don't think I've actually brought it up here before. And it has to do with the food, and she said the boneless bananas, and that's what reminded me. The stupid gluten-free shit. I understand when it's actually gluten-free, but when I look and see gluten-free oranges,
water.
Well, no shit.
No, free. This cardboard box is gluten-free.
Yeah, it's like, I know it was gluten-free forever. This is not a new situation. Why are we putting gluten-free on things that had no gluten ever?
The best one was when I was at the gas station one time. They had caramel apples, and it was a gluten-free snack.
See?
What?
Or in the 90s, Coke actually would have a little sign that at the local gas station, Coke, naturally fat-free.
Wait, they were selling cocaine at your gas station?
Yeah.
You need some gas, don't.
Did you hear?
Although we had a used video game store in the strip mall here, and when I had a roommate, she worked there, and after her first day, the owner said, "Well, I could pay you in cash or weed. Which would you prefer?"
Oh, that video store was not gluten free.
Oddly enough, that video game store is not there anymore.
What do you think?
It would be a bit gamey by now.
For my next grievance, I have a list.
Wait. I do have to give Wolfie what his grievance is.
Oh, okay.
Again,
Yes, I have a huge grievance because, and again, Stephanie brought it up. She's single now, and she recently moved. And
This is when you got to run.
did she even ask to move in with me? No. And I ask why not. Stephanie, I need you in my life, and let me explain why, okay? I need a better manicured hand up my ass than the one that's already there. Do you know what it feels like to have a hangnail up your sinus? It tickles at first, but then you can't get to it. You can't figure out how to itch it because it's inside. And then I've got to watch where my liver should be. Just what I need.
Ow.
Something ticking reminded me that I'm going to die of alcohol poisoning. These are things I don't need. And now it was the perfect opportunity. You could have come over here. All right? And I could have a nice, the claws might have been a little interesting coming out the nose, but the nails coming out the nose, but we could have, both of us could have been more comfortable because I would have kept your hand warm.
And what's more important, when you're bored with them, you just throw them in a box and forget about them for a few years.
Like my ex-husband did to me. That's nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's a win-win either way, but too late.
It could have been cathartic.
How many times can you say in your marriage, I feel like an afterthought? Something's going on, and you should fix it, and we need to How many times can I say this? Let me think. Yeah, puppet would have been better.
Yes, because I'll tell you
or
right
a Muppet.
now.
Sorry, Wolfie.
You would not have been an afterthought. You know why? Because your knuckles would have been where my brain was.
A very manly Muppet. You'd rather be a Muppet.
You would have always been on my mind.
P is for puppet. That's good enough for Steph.
Enough for me. No.
Puppet starts with P. Speaking of which, I gotta take a bathroom break.
Fine, but I could have had her up my ass and holding my stick. But no! Cory?
I'm going to read a list, and I would like people to guess why this list is my grievance.
You're not going to list the deathmate appearances, are you?
No.
Please, I don't have a birthday nearby.
Batwoman by J.H. Williams Omnibus. Batgirl, The Darkest Reflection Omnibus. Let's see here.
Omnibuses you bought that have never shipped.
Yes, but there's more.
Oh, there's more.
DC Year of the Villain Omnibus.
Oh, shit, I forgot to say it in form of a question.
Batman the Hush Saga Omnibus. Batgirl of Burnside Omnibus. Detective Comics Before Batman Omnibus.
What is omnibuses you prepay because you use discount comic book service and have been canceled and or never shipped?
Impulse by Mark Waid and Humberto Ramos Omnibus. Tales of the Batman by Alan Brenneret.
And DC omnibuses.
DC. If I look through my list of books that have been canceled, you dominate it. It's not even close to anyone else. I mean, you could go back the past 3 years and I could list more and more hardcovers and paperbacks and omnibuses. If you're gonna solicit a book, don't use it as a test balloon. Hey, we're thinking about putting out this book. So can you, comic shop and comic shop fans, please pay for it to see if we're going to have enough orders to print this thing? It's bad enough that at least once a week there's an error in their collected editions. The Lois Lane book that just came out actually had the print lines around some of the pages showing where they should be cut off.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
There was one that I didn't pick up that somebody showed a page for where they had the coloring notes on the side of the page that Stephanie would be able to. Oh yeah, that's orange red and that's light red and that's a light blue. But no, they had the Y2 R3 around the page because nobody did any quality checks.
That's not a bug, it's a feature.
It's a bug.
Yeah.
It's a collector item.
All omnibuses have those special things in it.
Omnibus.
I mean, it's usually at the back.
Yeah, no, this was in the regular.
Yeah, I know.
and nothing tops the New Gods omnibus that had one page printed twice, and DC had to pulp the first run because somebody screwed up. And, I'll just repeat this page. What? I'm not saying that you should pay attention to what you're printing.
It's a syndication cut.
Oh, God. I'm very mad about it.
Makes him mad.
Yeah.
Joe.
What?
It's your turn.
Oh, okay. All right. We all bitch about our jobs. And I got it, and of course I work with TSA. I don't need to bitch about my job because all I have to do is listen to you people because you'll bitch about my job. But it's been a weird effed up year because after 18 years of being in bags, I was forced to checkpoint. Still not know why. I mean, here I figured, 5 years, I'll be safe. I'm underground. I don't have to deal with COVID. Oh, but now I'm on the surface world. But to be fair, TSA has actually done a fairly decent job trying to deal with COVID. In the beginning of the year, they gave me 2 weeks, what they call administrative leave for people who are high risk. And I am high risk. I've got diabetes. I've got rheumatoid arthritis. I've had operations. So yeah, it's amazing I haven't caught COVID yet. Knock on, what kind of knock on? Plastic. But I had the 2 weeks off, which is cool because that allowed me to get my eBay up and running real fast. For the longest time, they had us working real limited shifts. And they put this under the work and safety leave, which is a program where it's usually used by people like if a hurricane's rumbling over your city, if you had a job, a federal job, you would go home, you get paid for it under work and safety leave, and you just deal with what you had to do. That was also part of the group I used to be with, that National Deployment Force I talked about earlier, where we would come in, man an airport so locals could go home and deal with their house and family and take care of stuff. So for the longest time, I was just me, a small team, and I would see them 2 days a week, and then they'd make me sit home the rest of it. How they could do that was because nobody was flying. I mean, you don't realize airports are down. We're down like 90%. I would walk through my airport, and it looked like a ghost town. All the merchants were shut. There was barely anybody flying. Even for the longest time at Minneapolis Airport, there were more people connecting to go to other flights than there were originating coming through security. That has since changed. And while we still have weird flight times, like occasionally at 6:30, we're done. My shift goes till 10 o'clock. Well, rather than have me hang around and do nothing, they just close the checkpoint. I go home. At the big airport, they do the same thing. They'll say, okay, we're past our rush. We'll put half these people can go home on work and safety leave. The other half can't. When my wife caught COVID, they were real good about, okay, just stay home until you know you don't have it. How I never caught it is a Festivus miracle, we'll call it. There, see, Cory, I like to play sometimes. But for the most part, they've been really good with dealing it. Cory talked about, I mean, good Lord, you're what? You're in full PPE gear. You're talking the full pants, shirt, hat, mask, whatever.
Yep.
We're doing the gloves. We're doing masks. We've got face shields we've got to wear, which is why we all look, and they're really tough when you're trying to talk to somebody. You have to take your liquids out of your bag still. But things seem to be going pretty well. Again, I'm on the surface world. I'm slowly getting trained. Oddly enough, when I was out with my 2 weeks with pneumonia, they had a COVID outbreak. And so a lot of people were out at the same time. And I really was curious about this because normally TSA is like, how dare you take a sick day? Get those wires and tubes out of you and get back to work. They're real, kind of a-holes about using sick time. But they've been pretty liberal about it this year. I mean, if you're exposed, they'd rather you be home. And I had no idea because when I came back, I was like, where's everybody? Oh, yeah, no, a lot of people got exposed to COVID. I don't know if it was at work or at, most people it's outside. But they've been dealing with it pretty aggressively. There's a lot of people flying now. So we're really, we are on edge and we're playing it safe. So I'll ignite a burning bush, or is that Lenten? I forget what it is, but anyways, I'll sacrifice a pie to the Strode god to just make sure that we get through the rest of the season. We've had fatalities, not at my airport, but at other airports. So again, just people, just mask up. Wear your fucking masks. That's the bottom line. And if you have to fly and you're coming through T2, wave to me. I'll give you a complimentary pat down whether you need it or not. That's pretty much it. Steph, what do you got?
Here's what I'm heading over to
Well,
right now.
That's deep.
To riff off of what Joe just said, because I just saw a news story where a guy was, you're asked when you arrive at the airport, have you had a COVID test? Are you positive? And the guy and his wife are like, no, we're fine. And they get on the plane, and the guy gets sick mid-flight, and they land, and he dies of a heart attack. But they find out that he had COVID. Worse, he knew he had COVID. He had already tested positive. His wife was telling the paramedics at the airport when they landed, yeah, he lost his sense of taste and smell, and he tested positive, but still wanted to fly. So this goes back to my grievance, kind of half my single thing and half of what Joe was saying, which is just people who lie, people who abuse or control or are manipulative, just people who are selfish, and then the doubling down that they do. So I'm just going to leave it at that so we don't have to get into too many more details, but selfish people is a huge grievance for me this year because it's showing even more, like it's rearing its ugly head in this whole COVID thing. The same people who are bitching that we're going back into lockdown are the same people who are refusing to wear the mask because, they're right. And it's just ridiculous. It's like, take a clue from, I know New Zealand's an island, I get that, but there's 5 million people there and 25 deaths because they care about one another and they did the right thing in the beginning. And now it's like all about me, and my rights. It's like, screw the guy next to you and the plane and I don't care. All about me, just selfishness. And the guy died, so it's like, who did he infect on that plane? Did he walk back and forth to the bathroom and someone else used the bathroom on that flight? Not thinking about other people, just their feelings, their lives, their livelihoods, their families, their loved ones. Selfishness just seems to be like, that just seems to be more selfish people than not right. It just seems to be the norm now, where it's like it used to be do unto others, and nope, it's just me, and all about me and my wants and my needs, and it's pretty horrifying. So I feel for you, Joe, and working at the airport and hoping you don't get COVID. It's horrifying that people are treating one another the way they are and just not caring. So that's it for that grievance, selfishness.
Dan?
Well, because of that grievance, I think I have to leave.
Yeah, sorry. I had to call it out. Thank you, Steph.
Yeah.
Wolfie, what do you got?
What do I have? What do I have?
Dan, do it. No, I'm serious. I'll go back to Dan. We don't want to make it. I know it's hard to have somebody up your ass when he's weeping bitterly. So go ahead, Dan.
Okay. Yeah, he becomes slippery. It's just weird. He has sadness sweats. I don't understand.
Well, I'll go off of that too with Stephanie and the selfishness, and that one of the things that I hate, it's just been bothering me for the last year or so, a little more than normal, is the amount of the way that people have been using fear in order to to do everything. I mean, one of the things that I was like, don't fear the COVID virus because you're, one of my favorites was actually a second cousin of mine, who said, well, this might be the last year you see your family, so don't let the fear of COVID stop you from going to a family gathering. It's like, okay, but aren't you just saying right there that you're afraid you won't see your family again, you should so you're being driven by one fear, but not the other. But they're trying to use fear as the thing that gets people to do what they want. Ironically, that same one, her mom and her grandmother both got COVID less than a week later of that post. But the use of fear and people using it actually for selfish reasons, even if they think that or use it an excuse like they're doing it for a good reason. And the reason this one's cathartic to me is because I had it used against me last year, and to the point where I haven't drawn or done a lot with Wolfie and stuff in almost a year and a half, because I'm afraid to. Because I'm afraid that if I do anything, I'm going to have this group of people start attacking me if I do anything publicly. And I'm actually, because of this and because of this, I'm going to probably try to break that. I'm going to try to break that soon, because I can't keep living like this. But I hate the fact that people use the fear against anybody. And this is the selfish part, Stephanie, is because I don't like it that they're doing it to me. The president, the current president, uses it all the time. He's using fear to try to, fear that isn't even real, to try to drive his people. Granted, some places it's backfiring, and it's backfiring amazingly humorously. But why people have to use fear in order to get people to, or get things done, I just don't understand it. It pisses me the fuck off. And
it's manipulative.
Right. And I especially, even if you're trying, like I said, some people are trying to do good with it, but it's like, how are you doing good by using the fear to do it? It's like, no, all that's going to do is cause more problems. That's all it is. It's going to be a round circle, and it's going to, yeah. But yes, it's manipulative, and it's pissy, and it's fucking ass, and goddamn fucking bitch, fucking.
But other than that,
could you say that in the form of a question?
Why?
What the fuck's wrong with you people? No.
Yeah. Why has Dan not done worldwide news in over a year?
I'm just waiting for the comic book that I got from you last holiday bazaar, or whatever you call it. Yeah. That was fun. Good, I liked it.
Oh,
plus, I'm waiting for you to draw me.
Yes.
Draw me.
Like one of my French girls.
Pen and pencil.
Like one of my French girls.
Ooh.
That's a possibility. I would have to save it close, but okay, I'm in.
Somebody asked me that, they said, draw me like one of your French robots, and so I sent them the picture from Goldfinger. Goldfinger. Of the girl in all painted gold. Anyway, Cory, let's go to you. Sorry, Wolfie, what do you say?
Yes, I hate the idea of manipulation too, because that's all Dan does to me. He manipulates me. It's like I can't do a damn thing without him telling me what to do. I hate it. Cory?
It's been.
Wait, Wolfie, are you saying you're nothing but his puppet?
Yeah. Oh, wait.
Cory?
Joe.
Yes, sir.
We talked a little bit about this on the last podcast. The plot of Empire, the last big Marvel crossover. What was it?
I thought you were talking about the TV show for first.
Well, I thought a minute he was talking about the cool Mark Waid series that he had done a while back.
No, this one is spelled EMPYR.
I'm working.
It's all. It's all.
Wait. Let me explain death to you. Dark metal. I could do that.
The plot of Empire was aliens are invading Earth.
Flower people.
Then they've started this new mini-series, King in Black, which is about aliens invading Earth.
Again.
That's two of the big crossovers at Marvel both have the same plot. Yes, there are differences, but they're both an alien invasion.
Wait. Are you telling me War of the Realms?
Those weren't aliens. They were extra-dimensional beings.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all the difference.
So that's completely different.
Oh, okay. Completely different.
It's getting to the point where Earth is invaded more often than I have Taco Bell, and I love me some Taco Bell. Marvel, it's time to get some new plots. Especially if you're going to have, what was it in the last previews, like 22 pages of books tying in with King in Black.
Which also has that weird future
Archie
crap.
Crossovers?
Yeah, sure, with the Punisher.
Well, we've already given Archie a good idea on how to do a Archieverse crossover. Because remember in one of the first issues of what they call the married issue with Archie?
The Married Life.
Oh, Married Life. Thank
Married
you.
Life.
Yeah. One side was Veronica, one side was Betty. But Dilton, the Brainiac, was kind of they kind of implied he was crossing dimensions watching this. So there you've got your device that you could have. Okay, he can cross into the chilling universe, the zombie universe, the I call it the Dan Parent universe, and throw in the fact that Jughead as canon, both in the Parent universe and I call it the Wade universe because Mark Wade was the one who started it. He has his time traveling beanie. And they've already, in that miniseries, they already showed the different versions of Jughead from the different areas. You again, $1 million ideas you can take. And you may think I'm just fetching about this, but what did we talk about a couple years about, Cory? Why don't you just take Dr. Octopus from the first 3 Spider-Man movies, because he kind of disappeared in a dimensional vortex, bring him forward in the current universe. There's how you get all the Spideys together. Who do you think's showing up in the next Spider-Man movie? And Cory and I got not squat for it. But anyways, I'm sorry, Cory, you were grieving?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
Joe took over that one.
I took over that one.
So was that Joe's, or Joe, do you have another one?
And we are on the last round of grievances.
Oh, we are? Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Let's
we've been
see.
at this over an hour.
What could I talk about?
Actually, we've been at this for like 2 hours, but
Yeah, but
Stephanie's computer hates her.
That's because of my half hour. Yeah.
That will be a future podcast. We'll call it.
Oh boy.
Not waiting for Godot, waiting for Steph. So.
Is that like the R. Crumb book, Waiting for Food, where he just published all of the things he'd drawn on placemats at restaurants?
Oh, brilliant.
Stephanie Cofell and the Computer of Hate.
Ooh, I like that.
Wait, what was it?
Stephanie Cofell and the Computer of Hate.
Stephanie Cofell and the Hungry Man Mule. Hey, we got a whole series we could start going here.
Yeah, you're complaining about how the meals are too big. If you buy the banquet pot pies, that's not enough to even work as an appetizer for Dan.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
I'll have.
But that's not really food, though.
Hey.
Whoa.
Sorry. Fighting words.
Are you making fun of my mother?
Oh, sorry. Nope.
Oh, no. Yeah. I could just see Dan at Dairy Queen. Yeah, I'll take the left half of the menu. And then for my appetizer,
The funny thing is, I'm not kidding. For Stouffer's, I buy the family-sized lasagna, and that's buying like my lunch.
I need to go to the gym more.
who is this Jim guy you talk about?
Yeah,
is he brother to Bill that I pay off every month?
The funny thing is, I have a gym membership, and it was hilarious because the reason I got it was because a friend of mine wanted to lift weights, but he didn't want to do it alone. So I literally was just going to be supportive. I mean, I lifted weights myself because I do actually, I am overweight, but I don't look as overweight as I actually am because I have a lot of muscle mass. So I never, when I say that I'm not overweight, I am overweight, but I'm not as, when you say I'm 250, I don't quite look like I'm 250. I look like I'm around 200. But anyway.
But you feel 250 when I bench press you.
Yes. But anyway, so I'm talking to the guy, and the guy who brings you in, and he's like, okay, well, what are your goals? I'm like, I don't have any. But you have to have goals. What are your goals? No, I'm here to help my friend. But what are your goals? I don't have any goals. Well, no, I mean, you want to lose weight or something like that. It's like, look, I'm happy with myself. I'm a fucking overweight bastard, and I'm good with that. Just leave me alone. It's like, no, but what are your goals? I don't have any. What are your goals? For you to shut up.
Oh!
Sorry, just tell them what I tell people when they ask about my goals.
Yeah.
Make art and don't die.
Yeah, there you go.
So far, I'm doing good.
I think mine would be, do a lot of eBay and catch that damn red dot that keeps flying all over the house. Come here, you! Go! Damn it, got away. We'll get him tomorrow, Bubba. It's my cat.
Whose turn was it anyway?
I don't know.
It was Joe's or Stephanie's, depending on if that last one, the one that was yours that Joe took over.
No. I hijacked Cory. I gotta say, as it's been a harsh year. My cousin passed away. My old employee Mike Edmondson passed away. One of my best friends passed away, Steve Anderson. Of course, my employee Mike Edmondson. I mean, my brain's just kerfuffled. But for the most part, everybody I know has been in pretty good health. Even my wife went through COVID quite well, so she's been doing good. So yeah, I guess I'm mostly grateful for that. So I'm pretty happy about that. Steph, what do you got?
Wait, are we still doing grievances or what we're happy about?
No, we're still doing grievances. I don't know what the hell that was.
Okay. Because I just wanted to kind of riff off of what Joe said just now.
We're supposed to do grievances?
Yeah.
I haven't been doing grievances the whole fucking podcast.
But this is the last round of grievances.
You want a grievance? Fuck. A grievance, huh? Look, I mean, despite all the shit that's happened to me this year, I'm actually in pretty good mood. So let's grievance.
No.
Okay, I'll give you a grievance. I gotta agree.
Your last grievance is the fact that you're happy. I understand.
Yeah, well, I got that itch I can scratch finally, but that has much to do about the incident. But anyways, this is a deep cut origin of Kray. I've talked about the origin of Kray not only on a solo Joe, but you go back to, I think, podcast number 1, and Cory and I do a quick introduction. But I gotta say, as a kid, I wasn't bullied. I was ignored. I mean, you gotta love parochial grade schools because, boy, and even to this day, kids are shits. I mean, if you're a parent, pay attention to what's going on with your kid because you may not know it. Your kid could be bullied or could be ignored, and you just won't frickin' know it. By ignored, I mean it's like most of the kids in my neighborhood. I lived on Churchill Street in St. Paul, so if you ever go there, you can see it's not that frickin' big. It's a city block long, but I was on top of the hill. So for the kids, where most of the kids lived on the bottom of the hill, it was an arduous journey worthy of the Hobbits and Lord of the Ring just to come up the fucking hill to come play at my house. And of course, when I went down the hill, it was always tough to find kids because apparently it was a law that you could only pair off with someone. If you had a third person, you had to ditch them. And because I was kind of I was kind of the weak kid in school. I was never picked last. I was always third last, but I wasn't athletic, although I could play sports and it wasn't a big deal. But goddamn, I remember a time like I went down and I was like, where the hell is everybody? And I've discovered they all went to one kid's house. And when I knocked on the door, the girl whose house it was came in and said, well, my mom said I can't have any more kids in. And I'm like, every kid in the neighborhood's in here except me. I said, well, can I talk to your mom? No, you can't. So I was basically excluded. So again, that's how I lived. I was never bullied. I was ignored. Not having been bullied, I don't know what's worse. That said, I learned how to just have fun by myself. I mean, my parents bought me tons of Legos. My sister and my brother. Not the fancy Legos you kids have now, but I mean the actual building Legos. You'd get like here's a bag full of 1,000 red bricks. Here's a bag full of 1,000 white bricks. And we still have them to this day. So in the basement, I'd build big towns, matchbox size. I had tons of matchboxes. We had a Kmart that was like a mile away. So I'd hop on the tracks and walk down to like Snelling Avenue. Snelling and Energy Park Drive is where it was. And so if I ever had a buck, or probably $1.25, I knew I could buy a Matchbox car and then walk back. So I had tons of stuff. All the neighborhood kids had older brothers, so they always had older, cooler toys. It took me forever to get my mom to buy a G.I. Joe. And we're not talking the little teeny ones, but the big 12-inch, so I could go play with everybody. Funny thing is when we would play, like it would be always, okay, two guys, and then the two girls had their Barbies. And the first thing they would do was unbathe and take a bath. And then, of course, if we tried to look at it, they'd yell at us. And I'm like, what the fuck? There's no genitalia on these things. Like I stormed my sister's Barbie Malibu townhome with my G.I. Joes and took it over. And, of course, painted it in camouflage color, which did it. But anyways, well, she had some cool accessories that G.I. Joes didn't come with. We came, of course, with the mess kit and the rifles and the grenades. But she had, like, real world accessories, like a TV set or, well, yeah, the handbag was cool. But anyways, I had to accessorize, had to make it so it didn't clash. Is it no wonder that when I got my first comic book, I was hooked? I mean, and this was a world, I mean, in 1978, we figured my first comic book, Spider-Man 178, given to me as a gift from my cousin. And just to give the short story of a very long story, he gave me 4 comics for Christmas because we had a lot of cousins. So we called it Kris Krinkle. I don't know what it's called, where, pick a name out of a hat. My cousin, Jerry Paulno, gave me 4 comics, 3 Fantastic Four and a Spider-Man. I kept the Spider-Man, went up to Greg Ketter's first shop, Dale Front and Como, Twin City Comics. I say that now because there is still a Twin City Comics. And Greg should have just said to me, kid, get the fuck out of here. Go get yourself a life. Run away. No, what he did is he graciously bought the 3 Fantastic Four for 20 cents a piece. Comics were 25 cents at the time. So I bought at least 2 more comic books, Spider-Man, and that started me on my way. So anytime in my grade school after that, fuck them. I just went to the comic store. I bought comics. I just escaped in this world. It was amazing. I mean, can you imagine the excitement I came up with when I discovered Roxanne Oil was fucking around in more than just one title of Marvel? I felt like writing letters to the staff. Holy cow, do you know what's going on here? They did this in 2-in-1, and they're doing this over here in Spider-Man. I mean, it was just great. The world was interconnected. We've talked on podcasts before how we discovered the Golden Age, the Silver Age. I got those little paperback-sized things, and I discovered Jack Kirby. Well, Spider-Man, obviously, Steve Ditko. Early Spider-Man when he was a kid like me, although I got to admit, I didn't have hot blondes and brunettes throwing themselves at me. And, of course, if I had Spider-Man powers, I'd have had a lot more fun. But there'd be times like I'd be waiting at the bus and just imagining what I would do if I had superpowers. And we don't really dwell on it, but I've got a whole fan fiction of me being a superhero. And then as I went into high school, because I have no grade school friends. I went 1 through 8 to this parochial school. I have no grade school friends. I have high school friends, some of my best, dearest friends that I'm still friends with today. One of them I mentioned passed away, Steve Anderson. So, the whole, and even they knew I was writing these stories down, and to be like, can I read what you're writing next? And, it was a superhero team, and it was just a lot of fun, and I don't really bore a lot of people with it. I bore them with other fan fiction, like, what if Spock made out with the Kelvin universe Spock, real hardcore stuff, things like that. But, and again, I learned the bus system. I went and saw Star Trek, the motion picture, by myself. I would go see movies by myself. I just learned to be by myself. So the bullying, the ignoring, I didn't care about. As I got into, basically, what saved me is that, so I went to St. Andrews. All the kids that I knew went to St. Agnes, which is still a school, I think, in St. Paul. And my mom went to St. Agnes, so she really wanted me to go there. My dad went to the all-boys school, which was Cretan, which was like a military prep school. He wanted me to go there. I went to St. Bernard's, which was where I was a Boy Scout as well. And again, I knew people, nobody my age, but I knew the older scouts that were there. So I went in there knowing people, and I got away from everybody. So I could reinvent myself. There's nothing worse than being the third weakling comic book reading geek that everybody ignored. And even, I got to admit, there were times when people would bully like somebody, and I was shamefully would go in along with it just because they weren't picking on me or ignoring me. I was actually part of a group. Just that stupid child mentality. The gist of what I'm getting at is, folks, pay attention to the kids. You know, just help them out. Tell them, don't let anybody tell you you're doing it wrong, because you go out and be the best you can be. That's quoted directly from Jason Matheson, a local talk show host, who says that at the end of every broadcast, who was a bullied kid growing up. And he's 10 years older than me, so it's kind of funny because he'll talk about things, because he's big in He-Man and things like that. We were big on Transformers, right, Dan? So that's all I can say. That's a deep cut grievance. I mean, that's one of the things probably why I latched on to comic books. And, you know, if I could go back and tell myself two things, I'd say, number one, don't sell anything. Good Lord, the comic books I've sold, I could retire on by now. Some of the prices they are. I mean, the Star Wars or the first Spider-Woman, I mean, I had books going back into the golden age. I don't know if you remember the Infinite cover Batman, which I think was issue 30, or the Superman with the Red Cross, and tons of Wiz and Shazam comics. Don't sell anything. Second of all, it gets better, because through comics, I met Pat Gruber, a lifelong friend. I met tons of people doing the con circuit, with the comic shop. I mean, Cory, I met you. We've been doing this podcast for 10 years, regardless of how we first met. No, listen, Cory, you got to listen to me. You know, you're a friend. I've met Dan. I've met Stephanie. I've met so many people. It's just wonderful. So you got to tell these kids it's going to get better. Just take care of them, whether it's your own kid or just a neighborhood kid. There's a kid next door I know. I love it because he dresses up in Robin and he patrols the neighborhood. And so I just get out and I talk with him. I take pictures and we talk. He knows Robin. We can actually talk the same language. And as soon as I get my what were they called, Cory? IDW, Marvel Action. Spider. I'm just going to give it to him to let him read that. And if I can find some decent Robin stories,
kick you in the shin because it's Marvel and not DC.
Yeah. No, he likes Spider-Man too, because he's trying to work on a Spider-Man. And whenever we get cons going, I even talk cons because I've tons of friends from the cons. So, you know, I can't complain really about that. But just from the early ignored days, it just worked out so good. So just, you know, pay attention to the kids. Give them some comics for Christmas. Give them comics for Halloween. Don't rot their teeth, rot their mind. So, again, kind of a what do you call it? You know, when you're grieving about something that they can't do anything about, but everything will be all right. Only just the morning. Okay, never mind. I'm done singing. Steph, what do you got for your final grievance?
Wait. I have a clarification question quickly for Joe. But first, I'm gonna say I agree with you fully on the whole. It gets better because I actually at conventions are usually part of panels that are specifically geared towards trying to help the geeks and let them know, no, don't worry, it gets better. But did you just say that you want to make sure that everybody realizes that they shouldn't sell their shit, and you have an eBay page doing just that?
That is the irony of my life.
Okay, just making sure.
The reason I'm eBaying is because in 5 years or less, I'm hoping to retire. And really, I mean, seriously, when Chris was bitching, she's not wrong. This entire basement's full of collectibles. I've got the piano bench full. I've got the, I think you've seen the omnibus. I finally got them all lined up in a bookcase. Mm-hmm. But my friends have disowned me. They said if I move one more time and I haven't gotten rid of my comics, they're not going to help me. Because they're like, you give them a comic box, I'll carry that. Jesus, try what's in there. Just comics. So I've also gotten to the point where I'm not going to reread half the shit I got. I mean, Cory's got plans for his stuff, which is cool. And I just want to if I can pass it on, make some money. Actually, what I'm doing is, like I said, I'm selling to eBay and I'm going out and buying more. I'll talk about it next podcast, but I've got about 12 Kickstarters that are getting ready to ship to me, and I'm like, holy crap, this is like $1,000 in Kickstarters that I've played with.
So this is very much a do as I say, not as I do.
Pretty much. And I've also figured out, because one thing they tell you when you do retire, if you retire, you got to do something. Everybody I know that said, yeah, within 2-3 months they're bored and they go out and they get another job. And I'm like, this is going to be my job. I'm just going to sit in eBay. Cory and I talked, again, a Joe Prize for anybody and I'm working on the Joe Prizes. They're going to get done. If it gives you joy, keep it, and that's something I just tell people. Well, I don't really tell people. There's some Korean lady telling people that, but it's kind of like that. I got a stack of comics here. Reddit, going to get rid of it. Reddit, going to get rid of it. Reddit, oh, this has the word Joe in it. Mighty Joe. I think I'm going to keep it. That type of thing. Or sometimes it's a personal comic book, like, our old pal Nick Post gave me this comic for whatever reason. I'll probably keep that. Or like Flair #1, first appearance of Terrence Creep's stuff. I probably shouldn't say that. I have no idea if he listens to the show, but I actually have one I want him to autograph. Unfortunately, with the conventions being canceled, I have yet to see him. So, but that's just part of the whole thing. But believe me, I've got some eBay grievances, but we'll save that for later. Steph, are you awake? Did I bore you? Are you sleeping?
I'm here. Boredom is for the boring.
I guess I'm out of here. Holy moly.
No, you can't be bored if you do what Joe did when he was a kid. He found a way to keep himself busy and engaged, and it's like, screw these kids. And the thing that Joe said about it gets better, yes, it does, only if you do what Joe did, which is don't blame your childhood, the kids in the neighborhood, your parents, your exes, your old jobs, your this, your that. If you're not blaming people from your past, then you do get better. You really do, because you're relying on yourself. So that having been said, good job, Joe.
Thank you.
My last grievance, and this is going to sound really weird coming from a comic book artist, is when people say, and it's weird because I was in art and now I'm in music. I don't play music. I'm, booking agent, talent agency, and all that. When people say that art or music is subjective, right? And we have to clap and ooh and ah over anything and everything anyone produces. And more power to you. You're being creative. You're putting yourself out there. You're taking your time, expressing yourself and creating something. That's great. But not everything is to be ooh and ah over. Like if we don't look at a piece of art and go, oh, that's sublime, we're like Debbie Downer. We're knowing negative because, you're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to clap over everything, like everyone gets a trophy, everyone gets a ribbon because they made this thing. And not everything is good. It's not subjective. There is art that's literally just crap, but you can't say that.
Yes,
so
you
that's
can.
a big grievance for me.
Yes,
but
you
if
can. You can say it was inked. You can say it was inked by Vince Coletta.
But you know what I mean? It's like we have to say that everyone gets a trophy, everything's amazing, everything's wonderful, everyone's life is just a highlight reel on Facebook, and everything's just, you can't say anything that is seen as anything other than positive or upbeat and it's great to encourage people. That looks good, but, and it's like, don't ask people, what do you think of the song? I'm going to send it to you. And I listen to it and I'm like, okay, there's no intro to the song. There's no, did you change keys or chords? What is this part of it? And they get upset. It's like, then why did you ask me? if you ask me for my opinion, I'm going to say it's good, but I'm going to find the good parts. There's usually something good to find, but it could be improved, and here's how or why. But my God, once you go to that it could be improved part, oh boy, you're like, oh, that's it, we're not friends anymore. I'm like, gee, then don't ask me. You know, it's like no one wants to accept the criticism. It's really weird. It's like everything is just supposed to be bravo, and, you know, and in relationships, I get like the whole, it's better to just not argue. Yes, dear, that dress looks great on you, rather than saying, you got a fat ass, it looks terrible, don't buy that, right? But my God, what happened to honesty? I'm not saying be brutal, I'm not saying, but just to be, you know, if you can be constructive about your criticism, why can't you say anymore or feel like you can say, you know, it's great, but, and then fill in the rest of it. I think it would be helpful to hear that. As an artist, I would like to hear it from my editors. You know, it looks great, but you have to redo this page, you know, and as a musician, you know, I haven't encountered many who do that. My ex-husband is one. He would ask, and then he would be like a petulant child and upset and pouting and angry, and it's like, then why do you ask me? If you don't want to hear the truth, don't ask me. And truth being subjective, right? What is truth and all that? But I mean, I think I've heard enough music and I've learned enough in the industry to say, this is missing from this song, you know, or you could, you know, this verse needs to be changed in some way, or there should be, you know, something should be done with the chorus. It's just weird. Just the whole art is subjective and everyone gets a trophy. That's a grievance for me these days. I don't know if it's because, you know what? I do know that it's because everything I see now is on Zoom. All the musicians, people I work with, people I've never heard before, people, and I know the sound is not great. You know, some people use Zoom, some people use StreamYard. And it's not the sound, it's the songwriting. It's the, you know, it's the presentation. And it's weird. You're playing to a camera, not an audience. I get that. But some of these people have been around for years. They're not, you know, green, you know, brand new on the scene. And if I say, yeah, you know, I don't care for their music, oh boy, oh boy. Like I just said something terrible. And I'm like, wow, I have to say, oh yeah, they're great. When I don't really believe that, and then I don't feel like I'm being honest or true to myself. So that's my grievance.
Dan?
Why do I feel like I have to leave after half of her grievances?
Wait, what?
Dan, you missed it. It's don't take it personally.
Dan,
Yeah,
In your case, do. But I mean, for most.
But oh God, how did you put it?
That was a good Porky Pig impersonation. Now on to the rest of the show.
Yeah, thank you. Crap, I just lost the term. The participation awards. That's the only way that I get any good things from my art.
Well, if you show up to record bad advice once in a while.
Yeah.
Are you telling me your wife gives you a participation award every time you know?
Well, yeah. Doesn't yours?
No, she usually just goes over and goes to sleep.
Well, no, my problem is that it always says second place.
Oh, ouch.
What scares me is that Wolfie gets 1.5.
Hey, he gives good felt.
We've always wondered if Wolfie's doing anything oral. Is it actually oral sex or a hand job? But anyway.
He does it with a Muppet.
What was that?
A very manly Muppet.
That's good enough for me. What are we doing? Are we still on grievances?
We're
Still on grievances.
We're trying to wrap up the show before we hit the 4-hour mark.
Let's see. Actually, the last grievance I have actually is DC. Cory went off on Marvel. I'm going to go off on DC. I'm getting so sick and tired of them trying to fix their history with the different crises, and then Once they did a final crisis and they can't do another crisis, they decide to get flashy and do Flashpoint, and then the Clockwork, the tie-in with the old Watchmen stuff, and now death metal is supposed to be changing the history, or how many multiverses, or no multiverses, or anything like that. Who the fuck cares anymore? Just keep going. Quit trying to fix the multiverse problem. Marvel doesn't, and granted, it gets confusing every once in a while, but who cares? Just write the goddamn stories. Quit trying to figure out how they all connect. I don't care. I think we're missing a lot. I mean, like you were saying about the alien invasion for Marvel, they do alien invasions, and apparently DC does. We're changing how many multi-universes we have every single time. I went through it. Well, we have Crisis Infinite, or Infinite Crisis on Infinite Earths. We have Infinite Crisis, Final Crisis, Identity Crisis, Flashpoint, the Clockwork, Death Metal, and there's another one.
Crisis.
Yeah, there's 8 in the last 35 years.
You're forgetting 0 Hour.
Sorry, 0 Hour. You're right. Thank you.
Never last.
How many? That's 9 in 30 years trying to change the shit around. 3 times a decade. I don't think we need this. And that's my grievance. Wolfie, do you have a last grievance? Wolfie? I don't know where he went.
Good man, that Wolfie. Leave him wanting more.
Wait, I have a note. It's got Cory's address on it, and I needed to use the car.
Hey, I'm missing one of my keys.
Damn it.
I'm missing one of the keys for the Strode compound.
Time to fire up the moat.
That's what the snorkel gear was for.
Gonna have a moat. Climb into a boat. It'll let him go float. Alone with the goat. Took it stuck in his throat. That's all I got.
However, I would like to make a grievance.
You're not allowed.
I've been working on.
Let him do it. This is 2020. It can't get any worse.
I've been working on the funny books. I've been reading all of the funny books that Trump suggested.
Oh, Lord.
And so I think I am knowledgeable in the written word and drawn word.
There's that cutoff switch. There. And to wrap things up.
Wrap it up. I'll take it.
Well, first, we don't do ads this time of year. We plug charities, and this is the charity we're plugging this year. During the holiday season, we here at Crazy Comics and Stories and the other podcasts in the Solitaire Rose Radio Network turn our ad space over to charities, and the first charity we're going to be highlighting is the Hero Initiative. It's at heroinitiative.org. It helps comic creators in need. The Hero Initiative creates a financial safety net for comic creators who may need emergency medical aid, financial support for the essentials of life, and an avenue back to paying work. Since its inception, the Hero Initiative has been fortunate enough to benefit creators with more than $1 million worth of much-needed aid, fueled by your contributions. It's a chance for all of us to give back something to people who've given us so much enjoyment. You can donate. You can go to Humble Bundle, and there's usually a bundle there that you can purchase and give part of those proceeds. There's an eBay site where you can purchase art and books that have been donated, and there are other initiatives that you can get out on heroinitiative.org. That's heroinitiative.org, one of the charities we will be highlighting this holiday season. To wrap it up, comic fans need to get different. I'm tired of saying better because, and I know it's not all of the comic fans, but there's so many people who think they know the business and don't. Recently, I read someone who said, well, if we go back to newsprint, comics will go back to $1.99. First off, no. Newsprint is more, it costs more than the regular paper now because not even newspapers use newsprint anymore. It's a paper source that's not used now. And second, go back and read your 70s comics. You can usually read them by holding them up to the light instead of turning the page, because you can see the previous page by doing that. Second, comic shops, if the cost of comics went down, comic shops would go out of business because you would be cutting their profit. And profit is how they pay bills. Comic fans may complain about comics that are $3.99 and $4.99 and $7.99, but I tell you what, a comic shop would rather sell 100 $7.99 books than 100 $3.99 books. And
there are good people on both sides, Cory.
No, there aren't.
No. That was your first mistake.
If one other person tells me that comics are dying, I will bury them in copies of Dogman and Diary of a Wimpy Kid and all the other books that are coming out. Yeah, they're not selling in comic shops. They're selling in bookstores. They're selling on Amazon. They're selling on through Scholastic. Marvel is even taking the books that they complain about, Ms. Marvel, Squirrel Girl, Ultimate Spider-Man, etc., and reformatting them in that Scholastic trade size, because they sell phenomenally in that, and they sell well enough that they think, oh, we could get these into Target and we could get them into Walmart, and maybe comic shops will sell them too.
Stephanie has a question.
Yes.
When you say Scholastic, do you mean like the book fairs? Is that still a thing?
Oh God, yes.
Yes, I didn't know that. I don't have a kid in school anymore, so that's very cool. Okay.
You may have heard of their most famous book of the last 20 years, Harry Potter. That was printed by Scholastic.
Rowling.
But that was printed by Scholastic.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's because she stole that story from Neil Gaiman with... Okay, never mind. Forget it. We don't need to go there.
He said he's okay with it.
Yeah.
I know he is. So.
Miracle Man and the whole Angela thing, no. But,
Wait, whoa, well, okay. Offline, Stephanie, I need to hear the story. I do not know it.
That'll
be
another
Tim
podcast.
Hunter, books of... Yeah, that's a whole other podcast.
Which, at the time Harry Potter started to hit big, I actually told Joe, no, I've already read the Harry Potter stuff.
Books
what do you mean?
Magic,
I read Books of Magic.
Okay.
Neil Gaiman's a better writer. And I will bury them under the fact that the last Dogman, also published by Scholastic, shipped 5 million copies in its first printing. Comics are doing great. Comics are doing awesome. They're making phenomenal amounts of money. Marvel said that they made more money last year than they've made in their history. That includes when it was all the special covers and 7 million X-Men, et cetera, because books make more profit than a comic.
Oh, such hurtful comment.
Even DC, if you look at DC, we complain a lot about DC, but one thing that I give them every month, 4 young adult books. And they're selling very well outside of the comic market. Comic shops are great. I love comic shops, but we're getting back to the point where they're not the entire market. They're kind of the small cultish place for us fans. Comics are back in the general market. They're doing great in the general market. They're making a ton of money in the general market. And when you say comics are dying, all you're doing is showing you're a moron. When you say comics need to be cheaper, you're a moron. When you say the comics need to go back to the way they were in the 90s, you're a moron. And you show that you don't know the business. And there are even people in the business who say things like that, and they're shocked they can't get work. Shocked, I tell you. No, we need to go back to 15 covers and multiple of this and art that's posters instead of storytelling. No, the world has passed you by, and if you don't catch up, you're going to be out of it. So the last thing I want to say in this grievance is, if you don't like what you're reading, it's not what you're reading's fault. I don't like Spider-Man. The company is terrible. No.
This sucks.
Maybe you've outgrown Spider-Man. Maybe you need to find something else. Maybe you need to read something else. Maybe you need to go to where the creators that you liked are doing stuff. And anybody who says, well, the older creators, they need to bring them back. They do bring them back, and their books don't sell because you're not buying them. The whole thing about Chuck Dixon saying, well, you know, if people would just, if DC would just put me on their books, they'd sell. Well, DC did do a book with you, and it didn't sell. And the trade paperback didn't sell. Is that the DC's fault? Is it your fault? No, that's just what happens over time. Styles change. You go back and you read a comic from the 70s, it is nothing like a comic from the 50s. It's nothing like a comic from the 40s. It's nothing like a comic now. Things change. And if you like the older stuff, cool, there's tons of it out there. If you like the newer stuff, cool, there's tons of it out there. If you're sick of superheroes, cool. Image has an entire line of stuff that's non-superhero, as does all these other indie publishers. If you're mad about...
you need suggestions, every month, Cory and I go through that previews catalog and pick out what we think are the top comics. And believe me, we spend a lot of time on non-superhero Marvel DC stuff.
And we go through and review books as well. And we try pretty hard to review either obscure Marvel and DC or indie books. Why? Because we don't need to review Spider-Man. People are buying Spider-Man. We don't need to review X-Men. People are buying the X-Men. We're going to review the stuff that we either like or the indie stuff that we think, hey, this is getting some buzz. Do we like it or not? Buy what you like. Don't buy stuff because you feel you have to. You don't have to.
And they gave me a participation ribbon.
That's just for opening the comic.
But that kind of goes back, Cory, to what I was saying about art and music. Like, I don't feel like I have to buy this guy's CD because everyone's telling me he's great. I don't enjoy it. I don't like that. The guy's probably a very nice guy. I don't enjoy his music. I'm going to buy what I like. Same thing.
Wait. People buy music?
I still buy CDs. I'm old, and I like to have the actual liner notes and stuff. So,
plus,
yeah.
I have a CD player in my car. I'm not fancy like you with, I got Super XM radio. I can actually dial in Howard Stern's bathroom and listen to him take a bowel movement.
No, he doesn't. But we do get to hear him and his wife complain about the cats.
Yeah.
I just bought a CD player / radio just to buy the CDs, just to play the CDs that I'm buying now because I'm going to buy from the people whose music I enjoy. That's it. I don't need a collection of 500 CDs because someone else said, oh, this is great. You should listen to this. Oh, this is great. You should buy it. I'll listen to it. If it's not my cup of tea, I'm going to buy something else. Same thing with the comic books.
Wait, that's kind of the same thing.
Wait.
With comics.
You have a radio?
That's the same thing with comics. I've talked about all the money I spend on comics. I go to the shops I like. I spend it on the comics I like. And I'm really, what I love doing at comic shows, and I miss this, and Cory and I, we both reviewed it. I love going through and seeing the local people with their new comic books to see what they come up with. I support locals like Dan Jurgens and Pat Gleason, of course, on Amazing Spider-Man now, and anybody I know that does a comic book. Steph, if you were still doing Archie comics, I'd buy your comics. But I love just going to a show, and of course no shows this year, seeing somebody set up and just seeing what's this about, and after they give me a spiel, then I give them a card and say, hey, we'll talk about this on the podcast. I'm less inclined to buy a graphic novel because, like you said, I want to try it. I don't mind dropping $5 on a comic because if I don't like it, so be it. But I don't want to spend $15-$20 on a comic, on a graphic novel, because then what if I really don't like it? Then I feel I just wasted my money. So again, have a little sampler ready for me to check out, because oftentimes, even in previews, that's sometimes what makes a difference for Cory and I when we buy something. You give us like 3-4 pages of art to look at versus just, here's my description. It's a $100 graphic novel. Please go for it.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, kids, you've listened to us blather on with our Festivus grievances for an hour and a half.
Don't you got a frickin' life or something? Get out there and do something. Festivus, forget it. It's such a waste of time. I'll tell you, in my generation, in my age, I can tell you.
How do I cut off Joe's mic? And as we say every week, the comic we like the least, we still like better than the comic that you like the most. Dan? Any final things? Any conventions coming up soon?
No.
Okay. Stephanie, any concerts coming up soon?
No. We're actually canceling. Well, the shows that haven't been canceled, that have been rescheduled, and then rescheduled, and then rescheduled, are now scheduled out to October 2021. Concerts and festivals at venues and that kind of thing. But those may be canceled as well. So we're looking forward to a year 2021 with possibly no live music still. So I'd like to thank the non-maskers and stop complaining.
And,
it's like they're the reason.
Any of the people that you work with having online concerts?
Yes, all but one. So yes, but they're getting quite tired. There's something that people are calling Zoom fatigue. That it's nice to watch a show from the comfort of your own home, not have to worry about parking and driving and having a couple of drinks and driving. What mosh pits? Yeah, that's what I work with. But they're just getting fatigued.
Mosh pits are the worst.
They miss the audience. They miss the interaction. They miss the merch table. We miss each other, not getting together and conferences and all that. So it's been hard, but if people would just wear their masks, it's not that hard. It's literally a little piece of cloth over your face. I don't know what the damn big deal is. So, they're hurting more than just, the small businesses, and they don't realize how many industries they are absolutely destroying by just being petulant children. So, no concerts, no conferences that I know of in 2021, and keeping upbeat and hoping for the best anyway. So that's what I do. So just be good to one another, as Cory would say. Just be kind to one another, and we're not in the same boat. That's another thing. Since you asked about my musicians, we're not in the same boat. We're in the same storm. I got one guy who's in California who's a famous actor. He's in a yacht, and I got young up-and-coming people who are on that thing from Castaway with Wilson, and they've already lost Wilson, so yeah.
Joe?
Wilson!
Pretty much.
I got nothing. Cory?
Wait. Or do I get to go after Cory?
Nah, go ahead, Wolfie.
Okay. Last thought. In the Christmas season with the Festivus and the Hanukkah and stuff like that. The Hanukkah's not as much of a problem here, but with the Christmas people, I want to talk to you about the preservation of the pine tree and the fact that we murder millions of them every year, and I'm pissy about it. And you gotta stop, because you know what? I don't come into your house, steal your toilet, and put a fucking star on top of it. Okay?
It's true. I tell you, at night, I just can't sleep because of all the pine trees slowly dying and screaming. It's terrible.
I know.
There's only one thing to do, Cory. Hit my music.